And if I'm really being honest, I don't always like what I hear from the guy in the mirror. Sometimes I get more value from everybody else around me. Sometimes I get more value and more satisfaction in what I hear them telling me and what I see of myself in them. Does that make sense? Like, I talk to the guy in the mirror all the time. Like, probably too much. Where Jess is like, what are you doing in the bathroom? I'm just having some me time, Jess. Like, sometimes I'm talking to myself too much, and I get sick of being in my own head. So I'm surrounding myself with all different types of people around me, and I'm leaning in to everything they say. Oh, I'm what today? Oh, you think what of me? Or I'm trying to go out and solicit and find out what they think of me. Come on, somebody. Be careful, though, of who you surround yourself with. Regardless of the reflection that I see, that I lean into, it's the reflection that's around me that I really crave, if I'm being honest. In the book of 1 Samuel, we find three characters that are really interesting. A guy by the name of King Saul. He had a son by the name of Jonathan. And King Saul had a guy by the name of David that was like his right-hand guy. Whenever Saul was like really just dealing with anxiety and depression, here comes little David on his harp, okay? Here comes little David on his harp, and he would play, and King Saul would just be relaxed. He's like, oh yeah, boy, just play the harp. Everything's just good now. I'm soothed. I'm relaxed. Well, there came a moment where God anointed David to actually be king, and King Saul got ticked off, got extremely upset. And he made a really bold statement that we find here in 1 Samuel 19, verse 1. That says this, that Saul now urged his servants and his son Jonathan to assassinate David. Y'all, you ought to be pretty mad when you get to the point where you're like, I'm going to pay someone to kill this guy. Right. What'd he do? I want to know. How'd he get on your nerves? What's happened in your life where I'm finding some dude in the alley like, hey, here's a couple of Benjamins. Can you take this person out? Like, this is in the Bible, y'all. Oh my gosh. King Saul got to the place where he sees the growth inside of David, but he doesn't see the growth inside of him, and he gets ticked off. You ever been that way where you want to see growth inside of you, and you get pretty ticked off because you see everybody else growing around you, and they're going places and you ain't? And so now something happened inside of you like bitter. Oh, we're talking about last week. I'm sorry. Something can grow up inside of you because you see everybody else succeeding around you, and you're like, where's mine? That's what happened to King Saul. King Saul knew that God had called him to go be something, to come do something. He's like, but I can't walk in it. But here comes this little shepherd boy, this little David, who makes me feel good with his heart. But why is God blessing him? And why is he blessing me? Is that just me? I felt that way sometimes. God, why are you blessing everybody else around me, but you won't bless me? Why is everybody else getting the sugar, but I can't? Maybe that's just my life, not you. King Saul gets to the point in his life where he's like, yo, I got to take David out. Here's what I've learned. Your growth in your life, come different seasons, your growth will make people, this right here, uncomfy. When you start to grow, when you try to better yourself, be on the lookout on how everybody else feels around you. It could be your own kids. It could be your siblings. It could be your spouse. When you start to invest into you, you start to make people really uncomfy. I'm uncomfortable with the person you're becoming. I don't even know who you are anymore. That's good because I don't. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to get to a place that I never thought that I could go before. And be careful, because growth will make not just you uncomfortable, but everybody else around you. People are uncomfy. I remember there's a season of my life where I began to grow. And when I say grow, I mean by like my pants size. Me and Jess had been married for a few years, okay? And I start to pack on the pounds. Man, this was so devastating. I was so devastated. She's like, I need you to go to the grocery store, Brandon. I'm like, okay, babe. I'm going to the grocery store after work. And I walk in. This is so embarrassing, y'all. I'm only telling you this because I trust you. Okay, don't tell nobody that story. So I'm going to the grocery store, okay? I worked not the most ideal job of the season of our life, being newlyweds. Got the only job that I could get. I'm working like construction / recycling, so I smell just horrible. So I'm in this place, in the grocery store, getting everything that she needs. I bend down, and my pants split. Okay, like it's so loud, I'm just like, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. So I'm doing like the left turn. Is anyone looking? I'm looking on the right turn, and like all these people start coming behind me, and they're like laughing, because they're like, yep, that dude just blew out his pants. So it's like, I'm at this point in my life where I'm like, I've gained all this weight, I'm freaking out, I've ripped my pants, like it's like I've ripped them so bad I can't hide it. So it's like I can't just like awkwardly walk down the aisle. Like people know, dude, like you got a blowout. So literally, what's the decision that I do? I literally go like, hey, you know what? If this is this bad, I'm going all in. I go get me a cookie cake. You know what a cookie cake is? I didn't even know what those things are. I walked by it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to have that, okay? I get me a cookie cake and ice cream. I go home, and I'm just digging into this stuff. Jessica's like, what are you doing? I'm like, you don't know how bad my day was, okay? Just let me tell you how bad it was. But I've learned, y'all, in seasons of growth, when you just grow and you grow, if you don't have the right friends around you that are helping you and want to grow with you, expect the rip. Expect the rip. I got to have the people around me that will grow with me. And if I don't, expect the rip. Let me say it this way. You know what kind of friends you need to get right now? You need some spandex friends. Sometimes I look at Jess, I'm like, why are you always in yoga pants? Because there's some seasons in your life, man. God is going to move you to different places where you're going to get flexible. I need some friends in my life that are spandex friends that can grow with me in the seasons when God is trying to stretch me. But if I do not have those people in my life who are in my corner, that are believing in me, that are loving on me, you better expect the rip. I can tell you firsthand, God has ripped some people from my life, and it was not a comfortable rip. But I've realized that God will rip people from my life that I wanted to be in my life, that I thought would be cornerstone people in my life. But he will rip people every single time for this because he's trying to prepare me to get to the next level. And there's some people that will tell you to their face they love you, but they will do everything in their power to stop you from going to the level that God has called you to go to. God would not allow the rip if he did not want you to grow. I want you to hear that because you ain't always going to feel that way. God, I thought this person was my ride or die. I thought this was the person that was really in it for the long haul. If he did not do it, hear this, you wouldn't grow. If he didn't do it, you wouldn't grow. You would stay exactly where you're at in this moment. You know why? Because we like to be comfy. We like it to be easy. We like to put life on autopilot. But if I stay in my comfort, y'all, like if I stay in my lazy boy and I'm just watching ESPN all the time, I'll never grow. I'll never be who God calls me to be. Because I'm going to tell you honestly, Brandon just wants to go home. He just wants to turn on Fox, and he just wants to watch football all day long. But Jess has to pry me out of the chair and say, no, we got to build our relationship. We got to go do things. I'm like, yuck. I just want to stay home. But you have to grow. God has called you to grow. Every season of growth comes with a new season of influence on your life. Let me say it this way. Here's a good note. New seasons equal new people. New seasons will always equal new people. Do this for me, y'all. It is okay to mourn a new season. It's okay to mourn an old season because it's not fun. It's not fun always to grow. But y'all, it's so necessary for you. I don't like going to the gym. I don't like shedding this weight that I've carried because I've just been a lazy bum. Like I've loved eating just the stupid crap that I put in my mouth. But I've realized I got to get up and I got to go flex. I got to work. It's not fun. But I love the results, y'all. You ever done that after you've really worked out and you're just like, And Jess is like, dude, you've worked out for 48 hours. Stop it. There's no muscle growth. I'm like, no, it's there. I can see it. See the vein? And she's like, no, you are not helping. The devil's a liar. It's not fun to pick up the dumbbells. It's not fun to run on the treadmill. That is so demonic. But I've realized growth will only come in the uncomfortable. Growth will only come in the uncomfortable. Let me say it this way. If God doesn't rip it, it will restrict you. It's almost like, y'all ever seen that movie Tommy Boy? I love Tommy Boy, okay? Yeah. So I've learned sometimes there are things in my life that if I don't shred it, that it's going to restrict me. Like, I love Chris Farley, y'all. just listen to me, okay? We're still talking about Jesus, okay? This guy's talking about Tommy Boy in church. But he literally takes the jacket on, and he just sings the line, "Fat guy in a little coat." Okay? There's things in your life I can't function properly. I can never be who God has called me to be because there's things in my life that are constantly restricting me. If I don't rip it and if I don't take off every single, and I may have a long relationship with it. I may got some history with it, but there's some things, y'all, we said this last week. You just got to let it go. Because if I don't let it go, I'm stuck in the conformity of what everybody else thought of me. I'm stuck in the conformity of other people's opinions versus the reality of who God has called you to be. So I got to rip it. I got to take it off, because if I don't, it's going to restrict me into a pattern, into submission that's just not comfy. It's not comfortable. Because God is calling me to be something better. He's calling me to a new season. He's calling me to a new level. It's like this. It's like playing Super Mario. Y'all ever play Super Mario? Y'all play the junk out of that game. Life doesn't give you the reset like you can have on Nintendo 64. But you got to level up. And the only way that I can level up is shredding and ripping away everything else and the people that want to keep me down. I've learned this when it comes to relationships. Some people say, "Pastor Brent, I'm just not good at relationships." Can I talk to you just for a second? Could it be that I'm not good at relationships today because of a bad relationship yesterday? Yeah. Could it be the people that I want to get around tomorrow, I can't get to those people because of what happened to me yesterday? Yeah. Be careful when it comes to trauma, y'all. Trauma's affected every single one of us. None of us are immune to trauma. We've all been affected by it at some point or another. But listen, y'all, trauma is never your truth. Be careful, because we want to identify who we are because of what I've been through. Trauma is not your truth. That is a dangerous well. Don't go to it. Trauma is not the well that you want to draw your identity and the truth from. Because if you draw truth from it, understand this, it will poison every single relationship that you get into. I start questioning who I am, and I start questioning who I am, and I throw it on other people that's all around me. I'm going to put things on them. I'm going to put things on me, and it's a well of contamination that I start to wonder, like, what's my purpose? Who am I? I start saying things like this, man, I'm unlovable. No one can love me because of who I am. I don't even care no more. Everyone thinks that I don't care about them. I can't keep a friend. I'm unworthy. I'm not worth it. Don't pull truth from trauma today. It's not a good well. And the reality is, it's not the truth of who you are. Can I ask you this today? What do you want your mental state to be? Like, that's a good question. Like, to wake up every single day, what do I want my mental state to be today? Because let's be honest, sometimes, y'all, for me, that's a struggle. Because there's a lot of things that I want to let just like run through my brain. And sometimes I get fixated on it. It's like a deer in headlights. Because people are like, man, why do you think that way? Like, I don't know, man, but I can't look away. But every day, you know what's helped me is asking this question. What do I want my mental state to be today? Because I know there's a lot of thoughts that are plaguing my mind. I feel a lot of different feelings. I have a lot of different emotions. But I get to ask the question. What do I want my mental state to be today? Here's another question. What mental state do you want your kids to walk in tomorrow? What does that look like for them? Let alone what's that look like for me, y'all? What's that going to look like for them? What do you want your future to be for you, and what do you want your future to be for them? The right people will do two things for you guys. Here's some good notes. Number one, they will help you get to where you want to go. They're going to help you get there. Number two, they will help you get in. They will help you get in. You know what I've learned in life, y'all? There are some events that are black tie only. There's some events in life that I've learned, I gotta get spiffy. There's some events I've learned in my life that I'm like, Jess, does this look good? And she's like, you can't wear that, Brandon, to that event. I'm like, why? It's plaid. She's like, exactly. You can't do it. That doesn't look, you don't look well presented. So I've learned there are some things in my life where I got to look the part. Some things in my life, listen, I don't wear suit jackets, so just like take a picture of this because it ain't never gonna happen again, okay? Like only if it's for the grace of God, okay? So yeah, y'all think I'm joking about my love affair for the Packers? I ain't joking, y'all, okay? I only wear this sometimes, but I'm ready to go. Someone's acting, yeah, that's right, I did this on purpose. That way I can throw out a go pack, go baby, yeah. There's some events in life you can only get in with the right apparel. It's a black tie only. Oh, the jacket's not enough. Whew. I'm looking spiffy now, y'all. Some events in life, you got to have the right things to get to the right direction. Stay with me, y'all. Some places you can't get into without the right people. There's seasons of your life that you can just feel that God's nudging you to get to the right place. And God is saying, I am putting the right people around you to speak into you, to pull out of you what I put in you a long, long time ago. But the only way that you get there is with the right people. There are people that you can love, and I've loved on, that I poured into, but I realized, Brandon, if I stay here, I will die here. I got to make my lid, my influence. I have to rise. Well, Brandon, no one's pouring into me. No one's loving on me. I got to find my tribe. I got to find my people. So sometimes I've realized where I need to go and where I want to go, it's only with the right people. Why can't I grow? Why can't I grow? Sometimes it's because you've outgrown the people around you. Some things in life, some places that you want to go is a black tie only. Can I encourage you this today? Respect the growth. Because you're like, that's just not who I am. I can't be this. I'm pretending. You ain't pretending. You're growing. There are some things I've learned in my life. I cannot sing, so I'm not going to join the praise and worship team. You're welcome. There's just some things I'm not great at. But I've realized, Paul said this, I have to be all things to all people. There are some things I may not want to do, but I have to learn to do it because it's better for me. I didn't always like my Brussels sprouts, but I had to learn to eat them. Why? Because they were good for me. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not good for you. Just because you don't enjoy it now doesn't mean you won't enjoy it later. It's called growth. I kicked and I screamed, I'm not eating my peas. Guess what I love to eat today, y'all? I love some peas and mashed potatoes. I've learned those things are great for me. I may have been scared because my dad was like, you don't eat your peas, your eyes will fall out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just because you don't like it, just because I feel like I'm fake, it's not that you're fake. It's that you believe the lies of everybody who's been trying to hold you down as you walk into a season of growth. As I'm walking into a new identity, I'm trying to walk into what God is calling me into. We got to respect the growth. Listen, I'm not telling you just get around a bunch of Jesus people. I'm not telling you just get around a bunch of church people. The best thing you can have is have friends who are believers and also have friends that are unbelievers. Some of you are spending too much time around a bunch of believers and not enough time around unbelievers, let me tell you that. It's not having closed off minded people around me. It's respecting the growth. I can't, listen, here's the thing I've learned too, y'all. This is going to sound so dumb, but it's going to be so good for you. I've learned right now that I cannot put on the same size of shoes that I wore when I was 8 years old. Some of us are like, well, duh. No. Listen to me. Some of you are going back to the same type of friends day in and day out, and you outgrown them. There are people in my life, there are coworkers. Y'all, this stinks. But sometimes there's family members I got to distance myself from because I've outgrown the relationship. Because if I keep trying to fit myself back into that shoe, it's going to hurt. You follow me? I can't put the same shoes on that I did years ago because they're going to hurt my feet. Here's another way to say it. They're going to stunt you. There's people who have kept the same foot in the same shoe, regardless that everything else in their body has grown, but the shoe, because it conformed and confined around the foot, guess what? The foot didn't grow. That's weird. That's what happens when I try to put myself in a place that I don't belong. Because I'm trying to grow, but my growth gets stuck. My growth gets stuck, and I find myself getting this word, stuck. I've also learned this, y'all. You can have the right shoes for the right season, but if they don't fit, they disqualify you. I can show up to the track meet with the spikes. They're the right shoes, Brandon. But it's the wrong size. And immediately, I get disqualified. Let me say it this way to you. There are people who will talk the talk, and you like it, but they cannot walk the walk. You are out walking people in this season of your life. Can I do this for you? You're doing so good. The people want to talk the talk, but they're not walking with you. They're not keeping pace with you. I want to tell you this. I want to encourage you today. You are doing exactly what God has asked you to do. You're growing. I've learned this in life. I just had a good conversation with Marco about this. Here's what growth really looks like. It's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. I wish that it was just I could climb the stairs and I'm succeeding every single day, but that's not reality. A lot of times growth is this 1 step forward and 2 steps back. You need to look in the mirror today. I know that you don't always like what you see, and I know that you don't always like and hear the voice that you want to hear, but the reality is, hear it even from me. When you look in the mirror, hear the words I'm about to tell you. You are doing a great job. You are following and you're being obedient to Jesus. God is calling you to grow up. God is calling you to excel. God is calling you to take a step forth, and you're believing. Like you're here today. That's amazing. God, I'm trying, and I know that you're wanting me to grow, so I'm going to put my next step forward. Having the wrong shoes can stunt your life. Having the wrong size can get me stuck. But having the wrong shoe size can cause you lasting pain. You know what I found that I got? I got something they call plantar fasciitis. You know what I call it? Ouchie. That every single time that I put my feet down the back of my heels, I just have this ouching pain. And I go to the doctor, and I'm talking to the doctor, I'm like, bro, I don't know why my feet are hurting. He's like, because you thought you were a size 11, but really you're a size 12. Say what again? My foot, it's nice, and he's like, no. The problem is you look for comfort, but you need room for growth. Did you know this? I never knew this. When you buy shoes, your toe should not touch the top of the shoe. You have to have room for your foot to move, because you got to have room for growth. Am I preaching to anybody today? Some of us today have friends that are suffocating us. Some of us today have relationships in our life that we're calling good. And God is saying that may have been good for a season, and you may have found value in it, but I'm causing and I'm asking you to rise above it. I'm looking for you to have room to move. And here's the thing, y'all. Like the title of our series is Love Thy Neighbor. It's not that I don't love people. Like, hear me. Please hear me out. It's not that I don't love people. On the contrary, it's because I love people. It's not that I don't love you. It's just you can't go where I'm going. Or they've left you behind, and I can't go where they're going. Listen, I tried to run cross country once as a kid. Okay, I did it for 2 weeks, and I quit. You know why? God didn't build me to run cross country. You know what I was really good at? I was good at running the 100-meter dash. I had a lot of speed to burn. There are people that you're trying to run with, and they're outrunning you because you're running the wrong race. There's a race that you're running with people, and you're like, why does this not fit? Why can't I go? Why can't I grow? Because you're running in the wrong lane. It's not that I don't love people. On the contrary, I absolutely love people, but I have to grow. If you do not allow yourself to change your friends, here's what I've learned, y'all, in my life. They will change you. If I don't change my influence of who's pouring into me, I'm going to wake up one day, and the guy in the mirror that I was trying to talk to, the guy that I was trying to encourage, I don't even resemble the reflection. I'm like, who are you? How did I get here? Who is this person? I used to say this all the time as a youth pastor to my kids. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. That is still so true today. You will never be able to outgrow your influences. I believe you're here today, and God is asking you to grow. I believe you feel the nudge on the inside of God is saying, I need you to grow. I've called you to grow. Because you're destined for great things, y'all. Your marriage is destined for greatness. Your children, they're destined for greatness. But it's going to have to take a mom. It's going to have to take a dad to say, I can't stay here anymore because I need them to grow. I need them to be, and I need them to reach the potential that God has on their life. And it can't happen unless I pour it into them. But if I stay stagnant here, I will die. The water may look great, but stagnant water will kill you. God is wanting to stir the waters of your soul today. And he's wanting to speak life, and he's wanting to speak encouragement. Speaking of that, talking about speaking life. Remember we were talking about how King Saul had a son named Jonathan and David? Listen to how the story plays out for them. In 1 Samuel chapter 23, verse 16 and 18, it says this, that Jonathan went to him there and encouraged him, David, with the assurance of God's protection. He said this to him. I love this saying, don't be afraid. My father Saul will not be able to harm you. He knows very well that you're the one that's going to be king of Israel, and that I will be the next rank to you. So the two of them there made a sacred promise of friendship to each other. God is positioning spiritual Jonathans around you even today. And God is actually asking you this, how can I be a really good neighbor? How can I love thy neighbor? God is asking you to do this. Speak life. Speak life. Who are you going to make a pact with today that I can speak life and encouragement into? Can we stand to our feet as I get ready to end this message? When I see everybody else around me and they're low. Here's the truth, y'all. When I'm low and I don't feel up to par, this same David that was running for his life, and Jonathan said, I'm going to speak into you. He found later in his life that guess what? If no one else is going to encourage me, then I need to encourage myself today. How can he do that? Because there was a Jonathan that said, I love you. I know what my dad wants for me, but I know the reality is I've been called to serve you. I've been called to love you. I've been called to encourage you. So when people are low, we build them up. We're not interested in building buildings. I'm interested in building people. Why? Because you're worth it. You're worth it. Jesus believes it that much more. Why? Because he said, I'll keep closer than a brother to you. He believed it so much he went to Calvary on a cross and he died for you today. When people are low, we're going to build people. Why? Because that's what love does. Love goes the distance. Love knows no bounds. Love knows no boundaries. We love people. We build people. We speak life. And here's where it's at, guys. We speak truth. As we all bow our heads and close our eyes and here this morning, in this holy moment right here, if you're here today and you feel like God is calling you to grow, God is calling you to expand, if that's you today, could you just shoot your hand and say, man, that's me. Pastor Brandon, that's me. I needed that. Man, God sees your hands going up everywhere in this room. Here's my big ask. If you're here today and you're saying, man, I need to give my life to Jesus today. You're saying, hey, I'm being honest. I'm not where I need to be. If you need to make your life right and surrender to Jesus, can you just shoot up your hand? This is between you and God. Say, that's me. God sees your hand in the back. God sees your hand up front. God sees your hand in the back. Church, can we pray together here real quick? Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I thank you for your goodness and your mercy. And I surrender my heart and I surrender my life. That you'd forgive me of my sins. That you'd be the king of my life and be the king of my heart. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Can we give a hand clap of praise today for everyone that said yes to Jesus? That's such an amazing moment. Y'all, can we worship here for the next few minutes? If you would like us to pray for you, we have an amazing team that would love just to spend a few moments here and just pray with you. It's not weird. It's called community. We believe in the power of prayer today. So if you would like prayer, as we're singing these next few moments, these songs, come up here. We would love to lay our hands on you, and we would love to spend a few moments and pray with you.